Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile. This is the Kinera Hodur, and these are my Honest Audiophile impressions. I want to thank Kinera Audio for providing the Hodur for a review. I do greatly appreciate it. Kinera, you rock. Okay, so the Kinera Hodur, this will set you back $300 on the Kinera Audio website or any other locations that you purchase IEMs from. It is a tribrid design. It has a Kinera high-sensitivity, low-power electrostatic driver. Also a Kinera customized K10012 balanced armature driver. And then a 10mm coaxial dual magnetic Tesla composite dynamic driver. Impedance is 8 ohms, sensitivity is 106 decibels, and it has a frequency response of 5 Hz to 40 kilohertz. The Hodur comes in a very nice unboxing. You're going to get some artistic flair on the front, some specs here on the back, removing the lid, which is actually rather hard. When you open it up, you're going to get some paperwork, which comes in this big huge pamphlet, explains a bunch of things about Hodur and all that kind of stuff. Kind of cool if you want to read all that information. And then you're going to get a very nice presentation, very reminiscent of other Kinera products. They always do a good job making their products feel like they're something special. You get some final type E tips. You're going to get some of those multi-modular connections for your cables. This one comes with a 4.4 and 3.5. And then you're also going to get a couple more bags of tips. You're going to get a wide bore tip and a little bit more standard olive tip. You're also going to get a cleaning tool and a carrying case. Now the carrying case says Hodur on it. Opens up, you got a nice little pocket up top, big huge tray for your IEMs. Not pocketable, but works in a bag. Very well built. And then you're going to get your IEMs themselves. Let's talk about this cable. Cable is nice and light. I like the color of it. Metal split. Very nice termination. There's your multi-modular connection. And look at those extremely aggressive ear hooks. Yeah. Those ear hooks are way too aggressive. They can cause problems with fit. But they do one thing good, which is hold things in place once you get them in place. So I'm not a huge fan of the cables, ear hooks, but it's doable. They do its purpose. The IEMs themselves. Nice and small, all metal, do connect with 2-pin. Got a little bit of a flat back on them and a very long nozzle. And I like the look of them. I think they're kind of cool with this little bit of gem inlay in here. Kind of cool, just kind of add something a little special and different. There you can see that long nozzle. A little bit of an aggressive angle, which is nice. The final type E tips were the tips of choice for me. They just fit me the best, gave me the best seal overall. The others were just kind of all right. Didn't really mind them. They just weren't very good. The wide bore tips, I did not like the sonics of, as they brought out way too much top end. Putting them in, you do kind of have to wiggle them around a little bit. I find that if I connect them and then wrap them around my glasses just a little bit to hold them in place, the ear hook doesn't bother as much and try to loop outside of my ear. I got them in place, and once you have them in and snugged in properly, you have to wiggle them in to their position. Once they're there, they're not moving, and they're extremely comfortable, and they isolate outside noises very well. They do a very good job of blocking out outside noises, and I found that you're probably somewhere in about 65-70% of outside noises are blocked. These will do very well for somewhat of a louder office setting or being outside. I did not take any trips on public transit, so I cannot comment on that usage. Overall, I really like the build of the Hodur. I find that it's very well built, looks nice, and it's small and lightweight, and the comfort is good, and overall, I'm happy with the Kinera Hodur in that regard. They did a good job. The Hodur, with its 8 ohms and 106 decibels of sensitivity, is kind of picky with sources. I found that it's fairly easy to drive. Don't really have any issues with it in regards to not being able to be driven by DAPs and dongles. I found no need to run these on desktop. I also found no real reason to use them balanced. I found that the majority of dongles were able to power it. The problem lies in that they're source picky, depending on what kind of sound signature you're getting, or not enough power or too much power. They will really alter the sonics, and some will be very unpleasant and others will be just right. So the dongles that I preferred the Hodur on were the Hifi's S9 Pro, the Hifi FC4, the Hifi FC3, the Periodic Audio Rhodium, and the 7Hz 71. Now, I really did enjoy it on those dongles. I did not really use it balanced with the 4.4 termination, as it just didn't seem to need it, and I was pleasantly pleased with these dongles. When I did try it on more powerful sources, the treble would become very intense and aggressive, and it would just sound too hot. When I used it on gear that wasn't quite powerful enough or was very warm in sound signature, the bass became extremely bloated and it lacked detail. Before we get into the overall sonics of the Kinera Hodur, I do want to thank my supporters through YouTube and Patreon. Do appreciate everything that you provide to the channel financially. I do know that in this day and age in the world, finances are tight for everyone, and it's not easy to sacrifice from your daily and monthly supplies of finances to give back to a channel that you appreciate and want to help. So I do understand that, and I much appreciate all that you do give and the sacrifices that you make in your personal lives. If you are interested in becoming a supporter of the channel through YouTube or Patreon, all your funds that you give will be used to purchase gear to review, gear to use to review and compare, gear to use to record the videos, also to produce the videos, and for coffee to drink while I'm listening to music. So I do appreciate each and every one of you that do support the channel. If you're interested, please check out the links down below, and it'll give you ways of how you can join in the support of the Honest Audiophile channel. Also, while you're down there, don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the video, and if you haven't already, subscribe. All right, so the Kinera Hodur, it has a energetic, a snappy tuning, and it's kind of uncohesive and unbalanced, but yet fun. It's one of those IEMs that when you listen to it, you go, this is different. It's not doing my usual preferences, but So the bass of the Kinera Hodur, the bass is very boomy. It's very thick. It bleeds into the lower mids. It's got more of a mid bass and upper bass presence than it does sub bass, even though sub bass is there. There's a lot of oomph. There's a lot of girth. There's a lot of body. There's a lot of heaviness to the bass. It yet still is quick and agile detailed and good resolving. It has a nice tonal balance to it, and it does a good job of just being fun and engaging, very toe tapping and very polarizing in the bass. It has a wow factor to it. It has nice texture, and just overall it's just a very engaging bass that is very much the focal point, or one of the focal points of the Hodur. The mids. The mids have a very thick and full bottom end. They are very lush, very warm, and very engaging, especially on the lower end. They have a lot of body to it. If you enjoy male vocals and instruments that reside in the bottom end of the mids, you are going to enjoy the Hodur. They have a body to them that a lot of IAMs just don't provide. It is a little too much. It is a little bit bloated, but it's still very fun and engaging. It has a nice warmth to it. The main mids are a little bit leaner, a little bit thinner on this in that area. They're not quite as full, but they still have a nice warmness to them. And then the upper mids. The upper mids are elevated. They are more forward, and they are a little bit too much in the forward capacity. And when it comes to vocals that reside in the upper registers, or instruments that reside in the upper registers, they can be a little too bright, and they're borderline shouty. And so on some instruments and vocalists, they can be just a little too much and a little bit ear piercing. And then the treble. The treble is thin and somewhat borderline hot and splashy at times, especially with cymbals and higher end instruments that have some resonances in the upper ends, like brass instruments and woodwinds. They can tend to be a little bit on the splashy, glary side at times, and can be a little bit annoying. But for the most part, I find that the bass, the mids, and the treble, even though they're very uncohesive and unbalanced, they just kind of play together in this fun way, and kind of are just engaging and just somewhat pleasing, but not pleasing. It's kind of an odd type of sound signature that just kind of does it at times. Soundstage is a borderline intimate. It is not a very wide stage whatsoever, but it doesn't get into cramped mode except for on busier or bassier tracks. For the most part, it does give you just enough width, just enough air and space, but sometimes it can get a little confused and muddled. Imaging is good. You can follow things across the stage, and there's no gaps or anything. Everything moves properly, and you can space things. It's not the most accurate in pinpoint. It's more like it's over in this neighborhood, it's over in here, it's right there, but it's good enough that you can kind of hone in and kind of have an idea of where exactly it is. Depth and layering are good for the most part, except again when they do get confused on busier tracks and on bassier tracks especially. Tone and timbre of the Kinera Hodur they're kind of thin. They lack body, especially in the upper mids and in the treble. In the bass, the tone is a little bit more accurate and true. I would not consider the Hodur to be the most natural sounding, but it's not unpleasant either. It has this warmness to it and this lushness to it, and the timbre is okay. Detail retrieval is very good. You get a lot of details that some other IEMs in the price point may not provide, and some that do. It's very competent in its price point when it comes to detail retrieval. Resolution is good, but at times it can get smeared, a little bit glassy, and a little bit glary, especially in the upper registers. But overall, I really like the Hodur. I find it to be a fun, engaging, very energetic, and just a different type of sound that I normally tend to listen to. How does it compare to a couple other $300 IEMs? First up, we have the C Audio Bravery. Now, the Bravery is a lot more tame in the mids and in the treble, and it has a more controlled bass. It's not as thick and bleeding into the mids as much as the Hodur. The mids are more even and cohesive and have a more natural and accurate tone and timbre. Soundstage is a little wider on the Bravery with better depth and layering, but overall detail retrieval is about the same. Resolution is slightly better on the Bravery as it's not as smeared, glary, and glassy like the Hodur. And then the Massdrop Blessing 2. The Massdrop Blessing 2 does have better detail retrieval and better resolution than the Hodur. And also it has a more linear approach to things, especially in the bass. So you're not going to get near as much impact and authority as you would with either the Bravery or the Hodur. The mids and treble are a little bit thinner on sound and tone, but overall it's not as aggressive as the Hodur. And even though it is a little bit more forward and a little bit on the brighter side of things, the Blessing 2 is more controlled and has better detail retrieval and resolution, so it doesn't come across as more fatiguing like the Hodur does. Soundstage wise, the Blessing 2 is wider, has better depth and layering, and is more pinpoint and accurate when it comes to its imaging. So the Kinera Hodur, $300. This is the fun, bassy IEM that you may be seeking in that price point. It's not going to blow you away with its abilities to be used as a professional monitor or anything in a neutral type of sound setting. It's going to wow you with its abilities to give you a fun and enjoyable listen. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on the screen is subscription links and notification bells. If you haven't already, please check those off. Then don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the video. And also check out the links down below. There's all kinds of information down there regarding how you can contact the channel, follow the channel, support the channel. And there's also information regarding music recommendations and music that was used during the review, and gear that's used, gear that's recommended, and all kinds of other things are down below. So don't forget to check out those links. And also don't forget to enjoy the music, and that honesty is the best policy.